What happens if you lose, Nick?
Who the hell is Aquaman?
I get Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, I get Sausage Biscuit. Maybe you guys will see a little footage of that later on because we got some good stuff.
Throw up the deuces. There you go, baby.
Hey guys, good evening and what's going on? Welcome to tonight's edition of Cage Side with Christopher James, episode 256. That's a lot of shows, man. We got a great show for you tonight. I got two fighters standing by to talk with us, and we're also going to recap UFC on ABC 1. Holy crap, Max fucking Holloway, 445 punches landed in a fight. He landed 31% of the total strikes in that event tonight. There were like 1,400 punches landed. Max Holloway landed 445 of them. Insane. The whole card was great. It's such a big deal to be on ABC. So, and we'll get into that with both guys I'm going to have on the show tonight. I want to remind you that it's crazy time. Knuckle Mania is coming up. That's right. It's not BKFC 16. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship's next event is not BKFC 16. It's Knuckle Mania 1. Takes place Super Bowl week right down here in Lakeland, Florida, right outside of Tampa at the RF Funding Center. It's going to be insane. This one, you'll have to get on pay-per-view through Fight TV or on pay-per-view TV through your provider. So make sure you lock it down. Get into that. You're not going to want to miss this. The debut of Paige Van Zant. Johnny Bedford is back defending his belt against Dat Gwynn. All kinds of good stuff. And then on this card, there's a man. And he's going to be making his debut. He's fought at Bellator. He's a BJJ black belt. He represents Renzo Gracie. He is the president of the ADCC in Israel. He's an all-around cool guy. And, you know, I've watched him fight in MMA, and he's got all the stuff, you know. And I was talking to him for a minute off screen before we started tonight. And, you know, he's from Israel, and Israel has been a country in turmoil for years and years and years. So he grew up, you know, tough. He doesn't back down. He doesn't walk away from a challenge. That's life, man. That's the way you're raised over there, you know. And as, you know, somebody who's, you know, got Jewish heritage in me and all that, it makes me proud that my country over there takes no shit from nobody. And this man embodies that every single day. So we're going to bring him in right now. So ladies and gentlemen, joining us for the very first time on our show, do me a favor and welcome the man himself, Haim Gozali, going to join us on. Haim, come on in and welcome in. It's good to see you. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm good. I'm in New York in training camp, and I'm feeling good, you know.
Up in New York in training camp. What part of New York are you in?
In Long Island.
Where on Long Island?
Oh, it's, I don't know the name of it. It's like, I don't know the name of it. My son is live over here, you know. My son is living over here. I'm in his house. It's Crockneck or something like that. I don't know.
What'd you say?
Crockneck or something like that, you know.
The reason I'm asking is I grew up on Long Island. I grew up in a town called Brentwood out on Long Island, out in the east end of the island, and I loved it. So I'm even happier that you're on Long Island, man. We share some heritage. You're out in my part of the world. It's freaking awesome. First of all, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time. For you guys, I was supposed to have him on the beginning of the week, but I got sick. I had a cold, and then I had to cancel on him twice. I'm so glad he was patient enough to come back with us because we wanted to get him on the show. So before we get into your fight and all the stuff with bare knuckle, I was talking with you at the beginning, like I said, off the air, and you said you watched the fights today. What was your impression of the performance that Max Holloway put on tonight? Because it was sick, dude. I've never seen a performance like that inside the octagon.
Yeah, it was a crazy fight, you know, so many punches and stuff like that. But I want to say to his opponent, you know, just standing over there and punch for 5 rounds, getting punched. That's also, you know, crazy. They didn't like quit. They didn't do nothing. And stand over there and get the punches to his face and still continue. They didn't quit. The corner didn't throw the towel, you know, and the referee didn't stop the fight, and he's continued to fight. But Max Holloway, he's a crazy fighter. He's gonna be again the champ, you know, very soon. I think.
I think he'll get the next title shot after Volkanovski and Brian Ortega dance in March. I don't even know if Ortega deserves the title fight. He lost a fight. He won one fight, and now he gets a title shot. But the way it works out, because Max fought Volkanovski twice and lost, so they have to kind of give somebody else the shot. They can't book it for a third time. I understand the reasoning behind it, but I don't know if anybody really stood out, including Ortega, to earn a title shot. But I guess somebody has to fight for the title. So, but it is what it is. Overall, it was really cool to see the card on ABC TV. This is a big day for the UFC. It's a big day for mixed martial arts and combat sports as a whole. So, from where the sport has started and where it's come from and where it's at today, from not getting any TV, finally getting a deal on Fox. First they were on Spike, then they're on Fox. Then they moved to ESPN and, part of the Disney family. It's crazy, the evolution of the sport. But I can honestly say that, no doubt about it, mixed martial arts and combat sports overall has totally come to be a mainstream sport, a part of the sport.
For sure.
But some people didn't believe it was going to happen. And now look at it. It's everywhere. TV commercials, all these fighters. You've been around the sport for a long time. So with MMA, and we'll get to the bare knuckle limit, but as far as MMA, what's your thought on the progression of the sport, how far it's come from when you first got involved and started watching and started getting, into fights and doing it?
When I start to fight, I'm talking about Israel, there was no people in the audience, no nothing, Today, every show we're doing, it's like 11,000 people, coming to a show in Israel, it's like a small country of 9 million people, 11,000 each event, so it's crazy. So the sport is in the last 20 years become like a mainstream sport. Everybody know the sport. Everybody know the athlete. The athlete become like a Hollywood superstar, like Hollywood stars. They can go on the streets. Everybody recognize them. It's crazy. When I start, I never thought it's going to be like that. It was like underground when I fought at the beginning, when I used to fight.
Underground fighting. Yeah, that's something I remember hearing about. And I actually went to an underground fight a long time ago before, I really got involved with the UFC. The first time I ever saw MMA was an underground fight here in Florida. And I was like, holy shit, this stuff is nuts. But I fell in love that day. And so that's what got me into doing all this. And I love it. I get to talk to guys like you, and I get to, as a podcaster or a journalist, and I'm a ring announcer. So I've been fortunate to work my way into this industry and have some really good seats for some really awesome action. And for that, I'm always grateful. So you've been doing MMA. Like I said, you've been in Bellator, and now you're going to make your debut with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship at the biggest card they've ever done this February, which is awesome. What made you decide that now was the time to transition into bare knuckle fighting?
I'm 47 years old. I fought in every competition that I can think about, every martial arts that I can think about. And this bare knuckle, is like, I saw it at the beginning. I said, oh, that's something new. That's I need to do also. So when I started with MMA last year in November, I started the last show in Bellator in Israel before the COVID came. So I said, I'm going to retire from MMA. That's it. Maybe I'm going to do bare knuckle, something new. It's a new challenge for me. Everybody think I'm just a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm a 5-degree black belt under Renzo Gracie. So everybody think, oh, this guy doesn't know how to punch. But I said to people, if I can submit somebody in an MMA fight with no hurting him and not doing punches, I can do it. I'm going to do it. But now I'm going to show the world that a jiu-jitsu guy can punch and can knock people out. And I'm going to be the first time in the biggest event. So I'm going to be the first Israeli. I believe the first Jewish also in the bare knuckle event.
I believe that is 100% true. How did this come about? How did you get hooked up with bare knuckle? Was it through Nate Shook or through David Feldman, the president himself? Or did somebody just say, hey, Haim, you should call these guys and let's go fight?
To David, I contact David. I told him that I want to fight. And I want to bring the bare knuckle to Israel. So if I want to bring the bare knuckle to Israel, they need the biggest star in Israel to fight, So I'm going to fight. Everybody, all Israel going to see it. It's going to be broadcast live in Israel TV. So everybody in Israel going to see me fighting for the first time bare knuckle. And then when the COVID is going to finish, I believe Israel is the first country that, put the vaccine to everybody. So now 2 million people got the vaccine in Israel. So I believe until 2 months from now, there's no COVID in Israel. So the event is going to start again. So I believe in July or August, we're going to do a bare knuckle event in Israel.
Well, that would
That
be
is
awesome.
my goal. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd bring bare knuckle to Israel. I'm totally down for that, man. I think has the UFC come to Israel ever or Bellator?
No, Bellator. So
Bellator.
Bellator came to Israel in 2016 for the first show. It was like 6,500 people for the first time. There was no event in Israel, nothing. Nobody saw the MMA like live. Nobody saw nothing, only on TV. First show we did 6,500. Second one 7,500. Last one, like the third and the fourth one, was like almost from 10 to 11,000 people. So it's crazy. The sport is grow in Israel, and like the fighters in Israel, it's like everybody recognize them in the streets. When I'm going in the streets in Israel, everybody recognize me. So all that in like 5 years we did that. In Israel, all that in 5 years. So now the bare knuckle, everybody know what bare knuckle is. So in
Sure.
Israel, but now they're gonna see it live on TV, and me fighting over there, so everybody gonna watch it. So
You have an entire country in your corner. I mean, that's
yeah,
awesome, because
yeah.
you are the first. And I would say that you're probably, in my mind, because I don't know any other one. So I would have to say you're the most notable MMA fighter to come out of Israel that I know of right now. And of course, now you're going bare knuckle. So you're the first bare knuckle guy to come out of Israel. What does that mean to you?
Let me tell you, when I started jiu-jitsu, it was like in 2000, that's it. It was in 94, no, 95, something like that. I started jiu-jitsu. So I went to Henzo in 96 in New York, started to study the jiu-jitsu like with Henzo. I bring the jiu-jitsu to Israel for the first time. So I was the first Israeli that did BJJ, bring it to Israel. After that, I started to MMA. So I was the first guy that fought MMA. It was no hold bar back then, with no glove and no nothing. So everything that I did for the first time, in Israel. And then I was the Bellator. I bring Bellator to Israel. I was the first Israeli that fight in Bellator. And after that, I fought in the Madison Square Garden. So I was the first. I was the first in everything in Israel, is in BJJ and MMA. So now I'm gonna be the first one in Benaka. So nothing new for me to be the first, but you know.
But does it feel good to you that you're opening doors for other Israeli fighters, both in MMA and now in bare knuckle, to say, hey, just because we're from this small part of the world doesn't mean we can't shine on a world class stage. And you've already opened the doors. You've set the precedent. You brought Bellator to Israel. You're going to bring bare knuckle to Israel. So do you consider that to be important and part of the legacy that you want to leave on the sport?
Yeah, of course, because everybody gonna remember me, because I was the guy that all the martial arts, like I'm talking about the modern martial arts, like it's the MMA and the BJJ, not the karate and stuff from the old days. I was the one that bring it, so of course that's a part of my legacy. Everybody know that in Israel, and I'm 47 years old. I'm still fighting like every couple of months. It's not like I came back after a couple of years of retirement and fight for one fight. I'm fighting like every couple of months fighting. So I fought like September in Russia MMA.
Right.
So now I'm bare knuckle. So like I'm 47 years old. I don't feel like 47 years old. I'm still fighting, still in good shape, still looking good, and I'm gonna continue to fight. So of course, it's something that everybody gonna remember. It's not just to be the first. It's to be the first, and like to show everybody, if you dream, if you like something, if you want something, if you dream about it, go and chase it, go and take and make your dreams come true, make everything like feel it, live it, don't stay home and like, oh, I can be that, I can be that. No, go and do that. That's what I'm doing. So that's why I'm 47. I'm not even 47. I'm going to be 48 in 3 months. So, and I'm still fighting. I'm still feeling good.
and you're still doing it. You're still competing at a high level. I'm 52, or I'm going to be 52 next weekend. So, and there's guys, in most sports, 46, 45, you're done. Most guys are done competing right there. Then you got a guy like Tom Brady in the NFL. I think he's 43. He's still playing at a high level of, professional football. And as time has evolved, I think with the way fighters train and eat and advances in medicine, I think we see a lot more athletes competing later in life, at a top level. So you're jumping into with both feet to Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. And, again, the biggest show that they've ever done, that's coming up. And you're making your debut and you're going to be there, were you excited to find out that you were going to debut on the biggest show there? Or were you thinking maybe they were going to put me on a different card, let me get my feet wet, and then put me on a huge show?
No. Of course, I was excited. But think about it. In Florida, there's a lot of Israeli community. So if I'm coming to fight, there's a lot of people coming to see me. So I'm also bringing, the country with me. So if I'm coming to fight, all my country coming with me. So there's a lot of people going to come in Florida to watch the fight. A lot of people could, send me a message. They want to buy tickets. Whether I can buy tickets and stuff like that. So I was excited to do that in a place that there's a lot of Israelis that can come support me. If I did it in a different, state in the US, I don't know if there's Israeli over there, because all the Israelis like New York, LA, and like Florida, like Miami and stuff like that. So,
yep.
So it's good.
New York,
it's good for me and good for the organization.
Yep. And by the way, guys, you're watching Cage Side with Christopher James. We are live tonight here in the Cage Side Christopher James studio. This tonight's show is brought to you by my friends at Just Heart Apparel and Just Heart Apparel East Coast. My boy, Andrew Sams. Andrew, happy birthday, brother, and thanks for what you do for the show. Shout out to Debbie Gamble and Forrest Daniels and a few others that are watching. Shout out to my man, Dean Toole, the matchmaker for Icon Fighting Federation and the president and CEO of Island Fights. He's tuning in. He also helps out with some stuff with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Always good to have him tuning in. So I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was looking around at your record, and I'm like, this man went 13-6 in MMA. Again, he fought at Bellator. He's fought all around the world, and you are like, I sit here and I say to myself, this guy, because I knew how old you were, and I'm going, I still can't believe that he's going out there and making his debut at Bare Knuckle. But then I thought about it. One of the last things to go as you get older is your strength. And, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, you grew up in a part of the world, here in the United States. I don't think any of us understand some of the turmoil you probably saw growing up in Israel on a daily basis, with, wars going on around you. And, you were in the army, of course. And I don't think people truly understand what that does to you as a human being to grow up in that kind of an area and to have to be able to defend yourself on a daily basis. You've been fighting your whole life, you said, before, gloves and everything else. How what's the word I'm looking for? How do you feel that the character you are today, the man you are today, how much of that, and the fighter you are, how much of that is because of where you grew up?
Oh, a lot of it, because I'm a Jewish, I'm an Israeli, all from the beginning of the history, the old people chase us, people try to kill the Jewish. I don't know why, I don't know, understand. We look like everybody else, but they try to kill us. So we become like a survival at the beginning, and after that we become a fighters or warriors, So when you are survival and then you become a warrior, so nobody can touch you, Nobody can touch today the Israel or the Jewish people because we are strong, and that's how we grew up. We grew up strong. You learn how to defend yourself from the beginning of when you're a child, So of course it's me. When I'm all over, when I'm fighting, you see the Star of David is with me. I'm like always represent the Jewish religion and the Israeli people, to show the world that we are strong and we are not like everybody think. Nobody can touch us anymore.
Yeah, and if anybody does step to you, they better be ready to fight because that's what they're going to get when they step in the ring or a cage or even on the street with Haim Gozali. So tell us about your opponent and give us a little idea of your opponent and what you have to do to stay ahead of the game in this bare knuckle because your MMA experience, of course, bare knuckle fighting and bare knuckle boxing are similar, but they're different. In bare knuckle fighting, you can you can use your clinch. So as long as you're clinching and you're holding a head down, you can punch. Whereas in bare knuckle boxing, you can't. So tell us about your opponent and what you know about him and how you intend to implement a game plan to walk out of there with a win for you and for Israel.
Well, I don't know about my opponent too much. I saw a couple of fights that he lost over there, so I don't know too much about him. I know he's like a veteran over there. He fought a couple of times in bare knuckle. Tell you the truth, I don't care who the opponent is. I'm coming to fight, so it doesn't matter. When I'm training for MMA, so I need to train in like what my opponent is like. Like if he's good on the ground, so I'm gonna fix myself like to destroy his ground game or his wrestling game or his stand-up game. Over here, just of the knuckles, that's it. We're fighting. So I start my martial arts days when I was 6 years old with karate. So karate, we used to punch bare knuckle. So I know how to punch bare knuckle. I'm not a boxer that's all his life with glove and then take off the glove and punch. He doesn't know how to punch. So I know how to punch like bare knuckle. I fought MMA when it was bare knuckle MMA, like no hold bar. So now my training is basically only about how to fight in bare knuckle and how can the win. What I'm going to do in the ring, that's going to be a surprise for everybody, because I represent the jiu-jitsu in this fight.
Yeah,
this guy can punch. I can punch very strong.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, you froze up for a second. I was like, "Oh no, what happened?"
No.
So, with your training right now, are you just because I've asked a lot of the guys that are doing bare knuckle about their training and how they condition their hands for combat. Is there something special you're doing to get your hands ready for just straight bare knuckle fighting?
No, that's what I said. I started with karate. So with karate, you used to punch with bare hand, not to the face maybe, but all the fighters that did in karate, we punch to the body, and the elbows is coming up, and you punch the elbows and you punch that. So I know how to punch with bare knuckle. I know how to put my hand like I don't need even the wrap if I'm fighting bare knuckle, but. Nobody know that because when we moved to MMA, they came the glove and everybody, and I started jiu-jitsu too much and nobody knows what I start with, but now everybody gonna knows. People think I don't know how to punch because I'm submitting everybody in the fights, but they're gonna know, now they're gonna see me punch. So all the basic what we train now, because in bare knuckle you cannot do combination like you do in like boxing, not too much combination, too much like you punch, you have to punch, when the fist is coming to the face, it has to be specific to the place, because if you punch the head, you can break your hand. So it's like training for all this stuff and not too much combination, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, just to punch, to catch the right place and finish the fight first round and let's go party.
I got it. So, well, I'm excited to see you make your debut. I like the fact that you're a little bit older, like me. You're a little younger than me, but you're older than a lot of fighters. And I like that you're still out there, blazing a trail for yourself and not stopping. You're like, screw it, I can still beat people up. I'm going to go beat some people up and show them that the jiu-jitsu guy can punch you in the face and end your night, which I fucking love. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are watching. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We're losing your audio a little bit. You're getting
finish. You can fight, whatever.
Yeah. Your audio is coming in choppy right now and your face is frozen. So I think your internet signal just went whoop, whoop, whoop. So just hang on a second. Let's see if we can get you back to a clear picture and clear audio. Hey guys, like I said, you're watching Cage Side with Christopher James. We're talking with Haim Gozali, going to be making his bare knuckle fighting debut at BKFC, and that'll happen at Knuckle Mania 1. We lost him. Hopefully he'll come back in. Hopefully his phone didn't die. Sometimes that happens, their phone dies. But I hope you guys are enjoying the show. We're a few minutes away from having Sasha Palatnikov join us on the show. And he's going to talk to us. This guy I love. He's 6-2. I believe he's 6-2 now. All right, here he comes. He's coming back. All right, there he is. Welcome back. Sometimes that happens. I
don't know what happened.
Yeah, I internet sometimes just goes.
I don't know what happened to the internet over here.
That's okay. So one of the people watching the show, my buddy Forrest Daniels, who, by the way, celebrated his birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, Forrest. He was looking at the tattoo on your neck, and he said, "What's that tattoo on your neck all about?" And he said, "That is savage."
It's the Batman symbol. So they call me the Israeli Batman. They call me the Israeli Batman. So all my body, I have a lot of Batman tattoo. So over it's the Batman symbol. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like
now we can see it. Now with your head up, we can see it.
And the bat, it's the bat, and one of the sides it's like a flame, and one of the side is like ice. So it's like ice and flame. You see my hand? One of them is ice, one of them is flame. So all my body is like half.
Fire and ice, baby.
Fire and ice, yeah. All my body, from the beginning, from the leg to the back, everything is like blue and red, like fire and ice.
I love it, man. I'm really glad that we were able to finally get John. Like I said, I had a cold. I didn't want to talk to you when I was all, because that just sucks. So thank you for taking the time with us tonight, man. Would you like to shout out? Oh, before we go, I almost forgot. I told you in a message last week, I always ask first-time guests on my show to do something special. My followers and fans love it. So I told you I was going to ask you to sing. So you've had a week to prepare. Do you have a song, something for us? Even you can sing it in your native language. I don't care. Just a little something to make the fans happy.
Oh, shit. I forgot about it, I forgot about it. Oh, my God.
Hey, you know what?
I can sing.
I'll tell you what you could do. My friend Forrest, who asked a question about your tattoo, yesterday was his birthday. So sing happy birthday to him, and he'll be happy. And that's
I'm
easy.
gonna sing it in Hebrew. So
in Hebrew, that's beautiful. His name is Forrest, so
Forrest,
that's it.
So Forrest, Hayom Yom Huledet, Hayom Yom Huledet. Oh my God, you embarrass me to sing, but happy birthday, it's Yom Huledet in Hebrew, so Yom Huledet Sameach, happy birthday, my friend.
I don't know if that was singing, but whatever.
I don't know. I forgot about it. I'm sorry, but I have a present for Forrest. So okay. I got a hoodie. So for his birthday, I'm gonna bring him a hoodie with my big, for the next fight. So this is the picture for my next fight. I don't know if you can see it. So
I see it.
Got a present for me.
For Forrest? That's for Forrest?
Yeah, for his birthday, and for you also.
All right. I don't know. He's not going to be in Tampa at the show. So, Forrest, I have Forrest's address. I'll send you his address off the air, and then you can mail it to him.
I'm going to mail it to you. And you
Forrest, look at that, bro. You got a free gift, bro. Happy birthday, Forrest. Hey, Haim, before you go, do you have any sponsors you want to shout out or anybody you want to thank?
No, nothing. I just want to say, I don't know if I think when I said about the age, I think, we cut the conversation because of the internet. So I want to say to everybody, age is just a number. If you have a dream, go chase your dream, make it come true. Look at me, I'm 48 years old, and I'm still fighting. I'm still doing sport. I'm still enjoying my life. Do it all, everybody. Think about it.
Well, that's awesome, man. I hope you have a great rest of your night. And I was reading on your Facebook page, you're in Great Neck, New York. So I know exactly where you are.
Great neck. Oh, yes.
Great Neck, yes. So, and you need a great neck to survive a choke. That's kind of funny. I got a big, great fat neck. So
I got a huge neck, believe me.
You do got a big neck, bro, and you got that tattoo to keep people away. So, listen, man, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for representing our homeland of Israel the way you do. Bless you and all those that are attached to you, family and friends. And looking forward to watching you. And I'll be at the weigh-ins for the show. So I will see you in Florida a little while at the weigh-ins, and I'll be honored to meet you face to face. Thanks so much tonight for joining us on Cage with Christopher James. Have a good night, sir.
Have a good night. Thank you.
All right. Hey, boys and girls, that was my man, Haim Gozali. He's making his bare knuckle fighting championship debut. What an honor to have him on the show, representing the whole country of Israel. The first. He brought Bellator to Israel. He's going to bring bare knuckle to Israel, and that's awesome. Now, we're going to move on from bare knuckle fighting championship and Bellator, and we're going to take a journey now to a little place I like to call Fight Island. Look at that. And the reason I'm going to Fight Island, because I have a feeling this next guy I'm bringing on, he's going to hang out on Fight Island at some point this year, I believe, and he's going to set the cage on fire. He's 6-2 in the UFC, I believe, if I remember my brains. I'm not even looking at my notes. He had an excellent performance in his last fight. He took out one of the Kosi brothers, which nobody expected him to do. And he's got a ringing endorsement from Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier believes highly in this guy. He's a cool dude. He lives out in Vegas, trains out in Vegas. He just went home over to the other side of the world. He just came back from a vacation. Happy to have him on because we were supposed to do this a while ago, but, things happen. But here he is right now. Welcome to the show for the very first time from the UFC, the man himself, Mr. Sasha Palatnikov. Sasha, welcome.
How we doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you, man?
Doing good. Just woke up from a nap, but doing good.
That's perfect, man. First of all, I'm glad we finally got to get up and meet up and finally do this, man. I've been wanting to get you on for a while, just time conflicts and this and that and the other thing. Before we get into you and your career and your fights and all that stuff, did you watch the show today?
I did. I watched every fight on the card today.
So before we get to Max and Calvin, what was the moment of that night that stood out for you?
First was the heavyweights, Justin Tafa and Philippe, I believe his name is. I thought Tafa won that fight pretty clearly. Obviously a contender for fight of the night until the main event crept up. But yeah, I had Justin Tafa winning that fight going into the fight, and then I thought he just eked out a 2-1 split, but it went the other way, which surprised me. But hey, nothing surprises me anymore, especially when it goes to the judges. So I would say that. I mean, there were a lot of great fights. I mean, the Leech, Li Jiangli, he upset me. I didn't expect that. But then again, Ponzinibbio came back after a 2-year layoff.
Yeah,
really bad medical situation. So that was also one that I thought stood out. And then of course, the main event was incredible. So overall, the whole card, like from top to bottom, was pretty solid, to be honest.
Yeah, the opening fight with Austin Lingo and Jacob Kilburn set the tone for me. Jacob has fought in a couple of promotions that I've announced for, so I've got a good relationship with him. And bummed to see him get the loss, but man, kid's tough as nails, man. He took some fucking heavy shots that would have put a lot of guys away. And I'll tell you, that's a testament to being in shape. That the guys that are in really good shape can take more, and it shows they have an endurance level built up. I don't know why, but it's crazy because getting hit in the head, you figure at some point somebody's going to rock your clock. You'll be seeing the little birds flying around and not be able to go. And I've seen a lot of guys that could go out there and just take some fucking damage and continue to fight, which he did. And a couple of people said they felt he won the fight by split decision. I don't know, man. I had it, the way the judges had it, and I love Jacob. He's a friend, but I think the judges got it right. It was close. At the end, it got closer because I think Lingo started to gas out a little bit, and Jacob was coming into his stride toward the end of the fight. But that's the fight game. Like you said, shit happens. The only fight on there that I wasn't overly impressed with the next fight, Sarah Moras and Vanessa Mello. I felt like they just did too much dancing. They didn't engage enough. Sarah's got good ground game. And Mello's a black belt. Whether it's based on defensive jiu-jitsu or not, she's a brown belt. I'm sorry. So I expected to see the clinch game. It was boring. And I hate to say that about a fight because I respect them for going in there and fighting, but it wasn't entertaining, I should say. It wasn't an entertaining fight, but and I hate to bag on fights, but sometimes they just bad, I mean.
I mean, you have nothing to hold back on because, to be honest with you, that I agree that was the one that stood out as the worst fight of the bunch, and just a lot of hias and a lot of screaming. We're going about the fight. I would have to say maybe they were the most missed attempts of strikes in a fight in a whole fight.
I posted that up. I said this might be the most combined missed attempt from two fighters ever inside the octagon. We've got the most missed attempts, and then we've got the most fucking strikes landed in the Max Holloway fight. Just by Max Holloway landed 445 punches. Overall on the card, there was 1,409 punches landed in all 12, 11, or 10 fights. Wow. And Max Holloway landed 445 out of that, leaving 964 for everybody else. That's just an incredible fucking stat.
Yeah, it is, for sure.
And then the other girls missed like 400 punches. I don't even know, man. It's like, but we got the whole spectrum tonight, I got to say. And overall, I give it an A+, man. It debut on ABC. Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar, man, boom. Carlos Condit and Matt Brown. I mean,
yeah, good fight.
Some people got mad that Condit won that 30-27. I was like, why? I said, Matt Brown got on top in the first round, and you tell me if I'm wrong. You're a pro fighter. You tell me if my assessment's wrong. Matt Brown got on top in the first round and did nothing from the top. Condit was beating him up from the bottom. Round 2 and 3, there was no doubt that Condit won those. So everybody said it should have been 29-28 for Condit. I said it was 30-27. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you're going to, be active from the bottom, that's also a big part of the game. If they're not taking that into consideration, what's the point, If you're working off your back and you're landing effective strikes and hurting them, and the other person's just on top, I don't think that's going to stay long in the judge's memory as points, So every strike landed is something that will be recorded, especially if it's significant. So I think you're absolutely right.
Have you thought about getting on the commentary desk and doing analysis?
Oh, I would love to.
Dude, I'm listening to you talk right now, dude. And, I didn't prep you. I didn't tell you ahead of time we're going to go into the fight card before we even talk about you. And, dude, you're firing off like you're fucking Paul Felder on the desk, bro. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Those are really kind words. I've been a fan of the sport since I was a small kid. So knowing and understanding everything or how things are supposed to be spoken about, I think is just, I guess, it just shows how long I've invested in this sport. But I love it, and this is definitely something I would like to do in the future, especially once my career maybe comes to an end. I would love to jump in and get on it as a TV anchor or do some kind of anything involving the sport. That's because I love the sport. If I can continue to do what I love, then that'd be amazing. But yeah, it's really ironic. A lot of people have said good things coming from my post-fight conference, talking as well. They said a lot of positive things. So these are little things that I like to hear. And I'm just starting out in the UFC now, so obviously relationships and people that I will meet over the years will hopefully give me that opportunity to get on these smaller shows and then maybe build a profile to one day be on ESPN one day. Who knows? So yeah, I appreciate that.
This guy's polished, kid. You're watching Cage Side with Christopher James and my co-host. He's not even a guest anymore. He's my co-host, Mr. Sasha Palatnikov. We're getting him started on his media career right the fuck now. The show tonight is brought to you by Just Heart Apparel and Just Heart Apparel East Coast. My man Andrew Sams is the president and CEO, and happy birthday to him. He celebrated his birthday yesterday or today. My boy Forrest celebrated a birthday yesterday. My sister celebrates tomorrow. Mine is next Friday. My wife is next Saturday. It's birthday month for me. It's like crazy. But going back to the commentary thing for a second, when you do a post-fight press conference and they're talking to you about your fight and everything, you're focused on you. You're not really talking about anything else on the card. The fact that you're able to sit there and, I could pop any one of these fights up at you and you could probably, without, going back and trying to oh shit, I need to look at this or I need to look up stats, I could probably pop out a fight to you and you could tell me what went down. And you could tell me that with an educated delivery. And that right there, that's what makes a good video, a fight analyst, doing color commentary. I can imagine, hey, Dean Toole, my boss at Island Fights and the matchmaker at Icon Fighting Federation. Dean, if you're watching, Sasha would love to do some commentary, bro. Maybe you get him on the desk with TJ or something, or maybe come down and have him do one of our Island Fight amateur shows or something. Just get his feet wet, have a little fun. But he's good, bro. He's good. I like it, dude. I'm gonna get you some work, dude. I want 10% of every fight gig I get, every commentary gig I get you.
My other agent. All right, let's do it.
I'm not your fighter agent. I'm your media agent.
There you go.
All right. So yeah, I am going to ask you about one other fight on the card, just for grins and giggles. What did you think Jocelyn Edwards and Yanan Wu, the other female fight?
I really liked Jocelyn Edwards. I thought she fought a great fight. I didn't know who she was at all.
Me neither.
Fight and Wu, I'd seen Wu fight a couple times and thought she was tough. And I thought she was I think she was the favorite going into that fight.
Yep, she was.
But that's the beauty of the COVID life. You just have so many new, hungry up and comers that you don't necessarily will hear about. Especially maybe because I think she's from Canada, regionally in Canada. So if you're not, looking everywhere, you're not going to know. So no, she was good. She was aggressive. She had her in that arm bar for the longest time in the first round.
Yeah, that was sick.
She looked well-rounded. She was athletic. And I think she took it on short notice too. So, no, she's definitely an interesting one to see going forward. I thought she put on a good performance, and the other girl just kind of seemed, just a couple steps behind her in every department, to be honest with you. As we like to say, there's levels in this game, and I think we could see the disparagement between the two. But it was actually a pretty entertaining fight. They're both going at it, and I think Jocelyn, came out on top deservedly and convincing.
Yeah.
So
it was a good fight. I was very impressed with her as well. Because like you said, I didn't really know who she was. These guys were talking about her like they watched her fight every weekend. I've gone, the fuck, man? What are you guys talking about, man? You don't have time to watch fights every weekend because you're doing all this other shit with the UFC, man. So stop it. But she put on a show. She let people know she's here, and she's like, I'm in the UFC, motherfucker. I mean, she did, and she made the most of her debut. I was very, very excited about it, and I'm going to do a little research on her tonight because I want to find out more about this girl, and I'm going to follow her career because I think she's going places. There was a couple of moves that she did, and the fluidity of the movement. It reminded me of John Jones at the beginning of his career, which is a crazy accolade to give to somebody making their debut. But there was just some fluidity about the way she was striking, a couple of kicks she threw. And I was like, that just reminds me of Jones when he started out early in the UFC. So that's not a bad thing. I was like, wow, I've never seen that in a female. I mean, we've got Amanda Nunes, who's just an animal and a beast, and fucking I love her, and Joanna and some of the other girls, Carla Esparza, all these girls that have come through the UFC. But there was something different about this girl. And I have a feeling she's going to make some noise. Now, one of my followers commented this. I don't know if you can see, but it says, Sasha has a very welcoming face and he's very well spoken. I mean, dude, you're golden, bro.
Hey, glad my face is welcoming. That's what I like to hear. Haven't always heard that, but I'm glad you think so, Forrest.
I love it, man. So let's jump into what made you get involved in fight. What made you decide that, hey, you know what? I want to be a fucking fighter.
It was kind of contrary to. So basically, I was born and raised in Hong Kong, and I had a lot of energy as a kid, and my parents just wanted to put me in something that would not only get me out of the house and away from them for a bit, but just get me tired. So, someone recommended karate, and based off that, they found a place that wasn't too far from home, and I would go there 3 times a week, 2 hours, 2 hours a shot. I was 5 years old, and they would just sit me there, and they'd be like 60 to 70 people of all ages. It's a full dojo, and it's no joke. They would they would hit you. They would make sure you were everything that you needed to follow. They weren't playing any games there. You couldn't run away and complain to nobody, really. So I hated it first 2 years of my life, but I got a lot of confidence after a couple of years of being forced to do it, and then I started to meet other kids in school who started to play team sports. So I kind of started to get more involved in team sports. That became a passion of mine. I've played literally every sport, and I loved it. I've just been always involved in sport, and then of course watching combat sports was something that my dad likes, and so we would watch boxing, we would watch K1, Pride, when the UFC was on, UFC. So like I've been watching all of that stuff. I've been involved in all of that stuff from a very young age, but I never was ever like, oh, I'm going to be a professional fighter, or I'm going to be a champion in this sport. It was my parents always told me to never be a fighter because it was so dangerous, and you weren't getting properly compensated for the risk that you were taking. So they were okay with me trying to be an athlete, but they were just like, nah, you don't want to be a fighter. They would always say it. We'd be watching sport, like fight sport game, at live, and then they'd be like, yeah, you don't want to do that. And I'd be like, okay. But we were always in it and surrounded by it. And, and I just continually would train it. Like I would play team sports throughout the seasons, and then in the off season, there'd be nothing for me to do. And I'd be training in the gym, or that's when I would start Muay Thai, or I would start boxing. So through the years and all of the off seasons that I had from rugby and basketball and soccer, all of those off seasons were always filled with martial arts. And I just did it because I enjoyed it, and it was a good way to stay in shape. And, when I get a chance to compete, I would jump at the opportunity just because I always enjoyed fighting. And then once I became a teenager, you were just getting in scraps at school and, just kind of trying to be a tough guy, I guess. That was just kind of the mentality for me at that age. And I went to an all boys boarding school in Australia when I became 15. So that was also a completely different stigma, a different world for me, an environment. So, you kind of got to establish yourself there. And I've always just been able to scrap. I've always we would go out and it'd be at a party, something would pop off, and then next thing you know, I'd have to just take care of business. It was
just do shit.
Yeah, and I never had fear towards it. I felt always comfortable in the situation, but again, I never was like, I'm going to be a professional fighter. And then I played rugby professionally. I was living in Siberia, playing rugby out there, and then I got hurt. And my parents were like, you should go to university, blah, blah, blah. So I actually ended up going to Montreal. And this was when George St. Pierre was fighting Matt Serra the second time. And so I was being introduced to this whole new environment of the UFC and George St. Pierre and what's going on. And the city absolutely loves George St. Pierre. So to see that, and we watched the fight live, and it was obviously incredible performance. And I was like, oh, and I literally sat there and was like, I could do that. I think I just remember thinking just with my striking alone, watching them strike, I was like, I think I got better striking. That's literally what I thought. That was actually in my brain at that moment. But I had absolutely zero knowledge on the ground, and I was 18 years old. And I had, I had wrestled, but it was nothing official. It was just no one taught me. It was just just go at it kind of stuff. And, I always had an idea, a concept, but I never was taught. So I joined this gym. I was playing college football actually in the States. I was at the University of Buffalo and it didn't work out at the time, and I was frustrated, so I wanted to join a boxing gym. And I showed up there, and at that time they had a jiu-jitsu class, and the instructor at the time the gym was called a Buffalo Training Center. It was I don't know this anymore, but it was a good facility that had a lot of pros in the like up in that area, like North New York, like by Rochester and stuff. They would be fighting up in Niagara Falls at the Raging Wolf. Back when it was illegal because it would have to be on reservation grounds. John Jones would show up there, and it was pretty cool. And so it was a good environment, and they were pushing me hard to get into jiu-jitsu, and I was like, didn't really know much about jiu-jitsu. I was like, I'm not really down to get on the ground and roll with people and stuff at first, and then the guy just kept hammering home, pushing me to do it. I did it. I got put to sleep in my first class, and and that was kind of what made my mind just explode and be like, I need to understand this. I need to learn this. Because the guy who did it to me was probably a good 100 pounds lighter than me. So it like blew my mind that someone could. I literally thought I was going to crush him, and he ended up putting me to sleep. So
isn't it funny that something that put you to sleep woke you up?
Yeah, right. That's a good little saying right there.
I just came up with that right out of my ass. I swear to God.
Yeah, you got that on your wall now. Get that. There you go.
Right there next to I'm in Abu Dhabi.
But yeah, I mean, that kind of woke me up to jiu-jitsu, and I was like, I love jiu-jitsu. I want to learn this. I was obsessed. I was spending hours every day trying to learn it online and train 3 times a day. And then after about 6 months of training, I got to the blue belt level in the gi, and they were like, oh, you should train MMA. You should take an MMA fight. Because at this time I was doing all sparring rounds for the pros, like helping them get ready. And at that time I was a heavyweight. So I was like walking around at like 230. So I was helping all the big guys, all the way down to middleweight, and I could still move. So like I was piecing up a lot of these guys. Like I'd broken a couple heavyweight noses. Like I was not on purpose, but like just from training,
Yeah.
And they were like, man, like I had to fill in for one guy, Muay Thai fight for like that he was meant to main event. And then like there were opportunities that were coming up, and they're like, oh, you should fight. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And I wasn't even telling my parents that I was training. And I was just like, oh yeah, like maybe. And then I just kept just do it. So like I did, like I took an amateur fight and I KO'd the guy in the first 40 seconds. And then I was like, I think I should just do this. So yeah.
Boom, there we are.
There we go. I just got this feeling because I was like, I've played so many sports, and like I can remember the feelings that I felt playing those sports, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there were like different levels of like concern, or it's like, oh, I don't understand this, if there's like a play called or something like this. But
Right.
I never ever was concerned. Like I've always just been like, I'm there, and like I've always felt so calm, and I don't get emotional, and it's something I look forward to doing. So it's like that combination right there. And I'm like, I can get paid to do that too. And talk about it and enjoy other people do it. Cause there's so many amazing fighters on this planet as well. So I'm like, hell yeah. Like I'm gonna do that. So here we are.
That's a really cool story, man. You were traveling all around the world, trying different sports. You end up in Canada, George St. Pierre, Matt Serra, that got a little fire ignited. Then you go start training. You get choked out, and you get woken up to the world that you are in today. It's a really cool story, dude. I think we can make a movie out of this, dude.
I've had a very crazy life. I've been told my life has a script in a movie one day, but I'm like, yeah, I still have lots of chapters to write.
Oh, absolutely, dude. No. This is only like the first 30 minutes of the movie because it's only going to be 2 hours, maybe 2 hours 15 minutes. I mean, because otherwise people tune out. So you got to 2 hours probably the max. All right, so you make your UFC debut. Here we are. 2020, year of the COVID, November. You make a debut against a guy, Louis Cosi. Both him and his brother earned their contracts on the Contender Series the same night, which was pretty cool, for them. I mean, that was a cool moment. That's never happened on the show before. I spoke to Louis Cosi on my show. Might have been Orion. I don't remember actually right now, but it'll come back to me. They're really cool guys, and they have a crazy story, growing up on the Indian reservation and, being made fun of because they were, I guess, like half Indian, half white, and, being picked on like they were half breeds and they didn't belong, and had to grow up fighting, kind of like Haim did in Israel, my previous guest, and kind of like you had to, set people straight, over in Australia, let them know, hey, I'm not taking no shit. So, so this fight was booked, and Kosi came in as the favorite. I don't think a lot of people saw you coming. I, however, saw you coming.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I had done a little research, and Kosi, like I said, I had a little more exposure to both of them, but I knew who you were. And one of the reasons because you fought over at UAE Warriors. So my buddy Cyrus Fees, he announces over there and does some stuff with those guys, I believe. And Blake Grice is a referee that comes over and does a lot of work with you guys. They were just there this weekend. Cyrus just did the show over there this weekend in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So he's their announcer. So I know him. So because he does that, I watched a little more of that stuff than a lot of other people. So I seen you. So I knew what you were bringing in.
Mm-hmm.
And but I'm going to tell you honestly, I did not expect you to finish the fight the way you did. I thought it was going to go to a decision between you guys, honestly. And I didn't know really who was going to win that fight, but I knew you were coming in, and I knew a lot of people were sleeping on what you brought because a lot of people weren't really familiar with you, and that's the beauty of this year. A lot of people got to cut their teeth and make a name for themselves. Kevin Holland, 5 fights this year. Shemaev, holy shit, this guy's coming in, and he's a beast. And we didn't know about him. And had COVID not happened, some of you guys might not have gotten the shot this past year. So, blessing in disguise for some people, a horrible thing for others. But I always try to look at the silver lining. And people say this 2020 was the worst year of our lives. I disagree. I think it was one of the best years of our lives because we all grew as people and learned how to adapt to do some things in life that we didn't think we were going to be able to get through. So we found a way. So yeah. I think it's a good year. But anyway, so you went out there and you knocked out the guy that everybody said was going to knock you out.
Yeah, that's accurate.
That's accurate. Does that piss you off that people, or are you okay with that? Because a lot of them didn't know who you were.
I kind of gave them a little bit of a pass, just because of that.
But only one, right?
Yeah, I mean now they know, and their pockets there too. But at the same time, see, the whole process, I guess, leading up to this fight was just such a. It didn't even matter who the opponent was. I didn't find out who the opponent was until 2 days after I signed because I didn't care. I honestly had zero care about who I was fighting. I was just so happy that the opportunity had finally presented itself. That was the winner for me. But I had just come off COVID, and that was rough, dude. That I don't think people talk about that enough. I mean, Chimaev just pulled out of a fight because of his recovery during COVID. So
yes, Edwards had to pull out too before. I mean, so Edwards pulled out for COVID, and then Chimaev pulled out for COVID. I had COVID. I was asymptomatic, and luckily I didn't really get nasty. I had the chills for 3 hours. Mm-hmm. That was it. But I know some guys, especially some fighters I know. Curtis Blades had it. He said it was rough. You have it, and I guess you're getting ready to tell us how rough it really was for you.
I mean, yeah, so basically the whole thing was I was supposed to corner Sean Strickland in his first fight.
That dude's nuts. I fucking love him.
Yeah, he's the man. He's crazy. But he's batshit crazy. But
yeah, bad shit.
That's what makes him who he is in the cage. But
amen.
So I was super bummed out because I thought, okay, this is going to be my first insight to a UFC fight, cornering somebody. It gives me kind of that visual, acknowledgement, know what's the behind the scene process. That's what I was looking forward to. And then I get my COVID test, and all of a sudden I hit, they're like, you're positive. I'm like, fuck, maybe I'm asymptomatic, I'm not feeling anything. And then all of a sudden boom, I'm like super tired, like have a wicked headache, like, but just kind of like flu symptoms. I've felt this way before. All I had to do was just sleep, and I happily slept it off. It lasted maybe 2 days, 2.5 days, and then I was starting to feel kind of good again. And then all of a sudden, the next day, taste and smell just gone. That's what got it super weird, because obviously I've never experienced that before. So my taste and my smell completely gone, and I'm like, what's the purpose of living if I can't taste my food? Like, that's literally what I was contemplating. I was like, I hope this doesn't last forever. Like, I was like, please, like, so
But the not smelling thing comes in handy in a gym full of sweaty motherfuckers, right?
exactly, like I'm taking a dump. You don't have to smell that. But with
Silver lining.
there was there's always something positive to every negative, right? So
Amen.
That lasted thankfully only for like 3-4 days, and then my taste and smell came back. Everything seems to be fine, and then I'm finishing off my 10-day incubation period, and I'm not training, I'm just staying at home. I'm just kind of, and I'm like, I'm thinking like, man, when's my next fight gonna be? Like, things are not looking as good as I thought right now, due to COVID, blah, blah, blah. Because I just fought for UA Warriors. So I was like, oh, I'm not on their next card when I thought I would be. So, things like that I was expecting to happen weren't happening. And I was like, oh, man, this sucks. I was kind of feeling a little bit, uneasy about what was going to happen in the new year. And then I go back to work to teach. I teach at Syndicate, and I teach the kids classes, and I get a text message, and I didn't see my phone. And John Wood walks in, and he's like, bro, like looking at me as if someone had died. And he's like, have you checked your phone? And I'm like, nah, like I'm teaching. I'm not looking at my phone. And then I thought, you're tricking me, like, and I'm like, so I look at my phone, and it's from my manager. And it's just like, do you want to fight on the 21st of November in the UFC? And I'm like, yeah, like, let's go. So I didn't even think twice, but and then he like smiled. My coach John Wood smiled at me and was just like, yeah, man, like, let's get it done. It was the 3rd, so we had like 17 days before the fight. So I was like, all right, I fought on 5 days, so I was like, this is plenty of time. So I finished teaching, and I went and saw my dude, and we started to hit pads, and that's when I started to realize, whoa, like I can't function right now. I'd go like a minute, and then I couldn't even catch my breath like that first day, and I was like, this is super weird. So I spoke to my strength and conditioning coach, and he's like, don't worry, like, just keep moving and working every single day, multiple times a day, just getting those lungs open, and we'll see how it goes. So I did that. The first 3 days were very worrying. I was like, this is bad. Like, I was like, I'm gonna gas in like a minute. Like, this is not good. And then we went up to a mountain at like 6,000 feet. I ran in the snow. I ran like 10 kilometers in the snow, and after that, my lungs were just back to normal. And and mind you, I was training like 3 times a day, just constantly just working on my conditioning, just trying to get my lungs, my heart just all pumping in the body. So it worked. I came back and literally was just kind of peaking, because I was in shape, but this COVID kind of derailed it slightly, I guess. And like, so I had to bring it back to like my regular, conditioning. I wasn't like fight ready, but I was in good shape going into that fight. I was maybe, like, conditioning wise, like, I like to be in the 90s, but I was probably like 75-80% of my optimal conditioning, because of whatever COVID or the timing that it was. But as soon as it was fight week, I was just like, man, I'm feeling like myself. And then it was fight week, I started to watch the videos, the prediction videos, and I saw Lewis's interviews, and that's when I got pissed. I was like, oh shit. I was like, I'm that big an underdog. I'm like, man. I was like, so it didn't piss me off per se. I was just like, man, now I gotta really show these people. Like, it was like added motivation. Like, I'm being like, there were people saying some crazy stuff, like people acting like they, or at least they're giving their opinions on what they researched of me, and they were like, oh yeah, he's only fought cans, and like he's a terrible striker. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that hurts, I'm like, that's something that I strive myself on, and to be told I'm terrible at it, I was like, Jesus. So, so and then of course they're all like first round knockout, Lewis, like KO, 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 like everyone. I'm like, Jesus, like there was only one guy who made this really sick, detailed video, and he like broke me down really well. And I was like, I commented on his video and was like, dude, like that was, like, you did well. Like you were the one who did well. Cause like, I was like, yes, what you identify is what I see too. But he also predicted Cost to knock me out. So,
but at least he gave an honest evaluation. He knew what you were, but I mean, when the odds are the way they are, I mean, sometimes, listen, if I was gambling that night, I don't gamble, but if I was gambling, I probably would have put money on Kosi to knock you out. I mean, not because of what you do or don't do, just because of what we saw of him, and because we all, basically everybody had more knowledge of this guy. So it made sense, the odds makers, sometimes I think they just come up with odds because they don't do enough research on the guy that's the underdog.
Yeah.
So, but I will say, I do know some people that did bet on you. And they cashed out nicely. So, a couple of my friends out there in Vegas, I have a few friends that like to go on the dog. And if there's a big dog, they'll drop $1,000 on a big dog almost without even thinking about it. So, because first of all, they have money, so they're not worried about it, and they like to have a little fun. And you pay off on a guy, that's plus. I don't remember what the odds were on you, but
like 45.
What was it?
445.
Yeah, that's right. Same number as punches as Max landed tonight. Isn't that fucking crazy? Symmetry coming around. All right, so but so you bet $1,000 on a guy that's plus 445. That's a nice little chunk of cheddar coming back at you. So and then there's some higher ones, man. You get I can't remember the fight, but one of my buddies told me he bet on a fighter, and it was a UFC fight where somebody was like a plus 950 underdog or something, and he put like $3,000 on that one. He cashed out big.
Well, there's a guy in Russia that messaged me and said he bet $15K on me. I was like,
wow.
Yeah.
Hey, so the guy that made the honest video about your evaluation and everything, because he was so honest and he knew about you, did you send him like some gear, like some swag, like a T-shirt or something?
Nah, like he didn't respond to my response. I just was like, because after everything, like after the fight and everything and stuff started to settle down, I looked at everything online. I was so intrigued, and like Reddit was dope. Like everyone was so like super nice on Reddit. I read every comment, and I commented and said thank you all for watching and stuff. But on YouTube, I went on every single page that predicted me to lose, and like was like, oh, I'm sorry about that. Like, I had to in the nicest way possible. But they're all very like, not every page responded, but there were a few that were like, oh, we'll never bet on you, bet against you again, and we're sorry. But it was all good. It was all just funny and fun and games.
That's funny, dude. I like that they went on the everywhere you could find. Like, and even if you responded polite, I know you're typing, going, yeah, fuck you, asshole.
I was like,
I'm typing this nicely, but I just want to say, go fuck yourself.
No, I mean, I was like, all you lost money, so I'm sorry about that. So.
Yeah, that's the best way to pop back and, hey man, sorry, I cost you some money, man. Maybe next time you'll know better.
I was like, I'm pretty sure my line's going to be a lot different in my next fight, but we never know.
Well, it depends on who you're booked against.
That's true, but it don't matter.
Speaking of your next booking, do you have anybody being offered to you right now?
No. Yeah, we're just waiting. They said, like, we gave a list of who we'd like to fight, and they weren't interested in that. And
who's on your list?
I mean, I don't know how much information I want to give. We just, it's our first meeting, and everything. But
you said you said you have a list, so that means there's more than one person on it, right?
We gave 4 people.
All right, so give me one of the 4.
One of the 4.
That's a good way to start a relationship.
All right, yeah.
Even though I'm the one pimping your media career, but I'll remember that later on, bro.
So we inquired about Mickey Gall.
That, you know what, dude? That's a perfect fight. Mickey's got a name recognition. He's been around. I mean, he fought a guy like Mike Perry. To come back and fight somebody that's brand new in the octagon, one fight in, that that gives him an opportunity, in his eyes to redeem himself, coming in against another guy that's a young up and comer, and let's see where he's at. Dude, if they don't give you that fight, I unless they already said no to it and maybe they're cut. Yeah, that's a good matchup, dude.
I thought so too. We
not asking for too much. You're not asking for give me a top 5 motherfucker. I want Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall's on my level. Give me Mickey Gall.
No. I'm being realistic. I'm fighting people ahead of me, but they're not, top 15 yet. I have to earn my stripes. But
oh yeah, Mickey Gall's not even in the top 20. I don't think so. I mean,
no. Maybe in between 50 to 80 range, in terms of ranking. So I'm not too worried. I'm just looking at good matchups, but also guys I want to fight people that are already in the UFC.
Right.
I don't want to fight a no-namer or someone who's making their debut from the Contender Series. I already did that with Lewis. So
and you know what? And that was that. Honestly, that was the one thing I really did like, the matchup. You and him, like I said, I knew your skill set, so I wasn't, I wasn't surprised that you won. I think I was a little surprised at the way the fight finished because I thought it was going to end up, after the first round, I thought, all right, these guys are going to go the distance. So you surprised me with the finish. But I did like the matchup. You guys were both making your official UFC debut. I think that's the right way to do it for guys making a debut. Get them a debuting guy, or at the most, somebody who has one fight in. I think that's the fair way to do it for both. And you took his O.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I listened to one of his interviews, and he said, because I watched him and his brother receive the contract on the Dana White Contender Series. I believe it was back in August or September.
Yeah, and they performed well.
Yeah. I mean, you go out there and you KO everyone in the first round. It's pretty impressive. It's not an easy thing to do, for sure. Nope. But he apparently had 4 UFC fighters turn him down. That's why he wasn't able to get a fight until we eventually got matched up. So I would also be interested to know who those guys were who turned him down.
Yeah.
But
if it's true.
Yeah, if it's true, of course. But
not saying that it's not, guys. I'm not accusing him of lying, just so you guys out there know. But we don't know because he didn't say who they are. So it's that Sasha could say to me, he turned down 4 dates with the hottest, female movie stars on the planet, But if you don't tell me who they are, I don't know. He could be making it up.
There you go.
He's got a face that people like. He's got he's got a welcoming face. So those girls are probably chasing him down.
No, I'm taken. So
I know you're taken. I saw pictures.
Yeah, welcoming.
Yeah, welcoming. That's how you got the pretty girl.
Yeah, there we go. She's welcome.
Yeah. So, couple of questions from the crowd. I hear my boy Forrest. He wants to know, what's your dream match? Who would you love to fight the most? And I'm gonna add to that, regardless of weight class or anything else, the dream matchup.
Just whoever has the.
You
belt.
can do one in your weight class and then one just whoever.
Just honestly, whoever has the belt. Maybe Kamaru Usman. Whoever at that point has the belt, and I'm in the contention to fight that person is that's the number one goal. I don't really think too much about there's one individual person. Everyone will say, "Oh, I want to fight McGregor because I'm going to get paid," but I fight him. I'd happily fight him. I met him back in 2016, and I was like, yeah, I'd happily fight you. You know what I mean?
Bow up a little bit in front of the plucky Irish guy.
Oh, you have to. So,
dream fight though, GSP. Would that be a dream fight for you?
That's my favorite fighter. I wouldn't want to fight him, honestly. I'm not worried. GSP, he's a legend to me. So, I met GSP. I trained at TriStar before. It's just one of those things. It's just something that doesn't really go in my mind like a dream matchup. Maybe Alistair, when I was a kid, fight Alistair Overeem when he was in his prime or in his horse meat phase. But I saw him as some kind of freak of nature when I was younger. But honestly, I've just seen everyone as an equal, and like I said, I just want to fight for the belt, and that's a goal to get there and be the champ. So whoever has that will be the dream matchup. That's my answer. That's
a fair answer. Fair enough. Most guys have an answer of somebody, even if it's a back in the day fighter, that, if you could do it. And, you're I think the first one I've ever asked that question to that said, their dream, the guy your favorite fighter, never want to fight him. Most guys say, yeah, I'd love to have fought my favorite fighter in their prime and my prime, because it would be cool to do it. I mean, to say you shared the octagon with George St. Pierre, that's dope.
Yeah, I mean, I would love. I mean, I'm happy to say that I've been able to to spar with him, and if there was it would be probably better verse to say who would you prefer to spar with, because in my opinion,
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, someone like Bruce Lee would be definitely someone I would love to spar, learn from, or just even talk to, have a concept, learn his concepts. But
what about Daniel LaRusso? Would you like to spar with him?
No, absolutely not. Try that
guy. Debbie Gamble, Florida's #1 MMA fan, wants to know, what is your favorite ice cream?
Mint chocolate chip. I know everyone's crazy.
Dude, word! That's my shit, bro. Boom. Number two is Cherry Garcia by Ben and Jerry's, but #1 has always been mint chocolate chip.
Yeah, everyone hates on mint chocolate chip. My girl and I are both mint chocolate chip people, and you as well. So it's good to.
There's 3 of us. Hey, and everybody else can hate on it. That just means there's more for us.
Absolutely.
That's how I look at that shit. When the world starts running out of food because of the craziness in the pandemic, toilet paper, everything, all the ice cream's going to be gone. Mint chocolate chip will be on the shelf, and the 3 of us will live off mint chocolate chip while everybody else dies. That's how we'll take over the world, bro.
Mint chocolate chip for the win. Absolutely.
Mint chocolate chip for the win. So you got that first win. You got done, and you got to make people eat some crow and everything. With the commenting back on the YouTube. But after you sat alone by yourself, like a week later, and you thought about that win, did you really did you have that moment like, I'm in the UFC, I did it, I got here, and I got that win, and some kind of and I know you're a confident man, and I know you believe in yourself, but was that just like, did you have that moment in time where you were thinking that, just felt in your mind validated for everything you've gone through to get there?
Yeah, no, 100%. It was definitely one of those, like, yeah, we did it, it's, but at the same time, like I went in there and was like, all right, like, we're here. Like, that was the hard part. That was like getting to this opportunity was the super hard part. Like, I'm just a kid from Hong Kong, like, who just took a risk and it paid off. That's it, and just to have the opportunity. So I was already like, super thankful to the people that were involved in that process to get me where I was. And so I had to be like, okay, I'm here now. So if I went in there and got starched in 30 seconds or put on a terrible performance or just sucked overall, then not only would I let myself down or my family down or all the people that just got me or invested their time in me to get me here, I would let them down. And then a lot of people would just be like, oh, this guy's trash. Like, he's from Hong Kong. Who cares? So I had a lot of support and I guess you can say pressure, but I love that shit. Like, that stuff is I love fighting in front of people. If people are watching, I'm more of a let's fight live, like, and I'll show up to the show versus like putting in consistent performances in the gym. I know how to train as a professional athlete. I know what I need to work on. I've been in sport my whole life, and I know when I need to show up, and that's like literally minutes before I step in the cage. And a lot of people have problems with that, and I think I don't. So
you didn't show it that night.
Absolutely not. And, I truly believe, like, going into that fight, I thought I was going to put him to sleep in the first round. But because of my stupid mistake, and that led to me getting hit in the back of the head a bunch of times, it took time to eventually get there. But at the same time, it's crazy. People are like, oh, man, like, were you hurt? Like, he almost finished you. And I'm like, guys, if you listen to that fight with no audio, on mute, and watch it, like, you won't think that, like, oh my God, he's super hurt. Because, like, I mean, the commentator's a little bit gay.
They always go over the top. I mean, were you a little bit so honestly, were you a little hurt, a little?
No, like, so, and I'm not even trying to be like, oh no, like, I'm being.
No, I know. I listen. I've already figured out that if I ask you a question, you'll give me an honest answer. I within 2 minutes of this starting, I already know that that's the guy you are. You don't talk shit, Yeah,
it's not even like a macho thing. Like, so when he started to hit me in the back of the head, I lost my balance. Like I had my equilibrium off, but I never felt hurt. I was just like clear-minded the whole time and was just like, all I was saying to myself was, I need to separate and just move around a bit and then regather. Because I was like, I already knew, like prior to that, I threw that kick and did the spin out. I'd already known my distance. I'd already identified what I needed to identify. So I was like, okay, now we're gonna hurt him. And because I led to what I led to, it kind of derailed what I was planning. And then all of a sudden, I got back to my feet, and we get through an exchange, and he's coming hard. He's like, I remember seeing him coming hard, and I'm like, oh, like I can't get hit with any of these hooks because I knew he was a big hooker, like he throws big hooks. So, and then
he's a big hooker, dude. That just sounded weird. Sorry, man, my brain driven.
And we got, but I'm the kind of guy that if I get hit, I'm always going to try to swing back. So we kind of got into it, and I probably should have been more on my bicycle. And we traded, and he hit me with a shot that was square. And it was at a time where I was kind of against the cage and trying to get my balance, and I just kind of lost my balance and fell again. So obviously it looks like, I got knocked down. And then the same thing, he got on top and like landed a couple decent shots on the ground. But again, my same thing was like, all right, control his hand, get back to my feet, separate, we good. I was like, I just remember saying, okay, fuck, I'm losing. That's what I remember thinking. I was like, damn it, I'm losing right now. Like, that's not good. And honestly, I thought I lost the round because of that. But the way, obviously, I was like, I got to come back from, how that started to how I ended. And I think I did a good job of rallying from that and, finishing that round strong. I mean, on the judges' scorecards, apparently I won that round. So I was happy about that. And then, of course, he'd already blown his tank. And, man, every time I started to hit him, I could just feel him start to kind of decrease. So, and to be honest with you, if you're going to gas after landing like 30 strikes, you're not in shape for a fight anyway. So I don't know what people are trying to like say, like put shade on it. Oh, he got tired, that's why you won. I was like, yeah, when you get kicked and punched by me, you will get tired. Like, you will get hurt. This is just common sense. What are you guys talking about? And it gets tired. Like, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make no sense. So yeah, those are like a couple idiots trying to say some things, but I'm just like, hey man, if you don't come to the fight and you can't last 15 minutes, that's on you. So
yeah.
So I honestly envisioned him coming in being in he looked like that guy that was just like in crazy good shape, that would just have constant pace for 5.55. That's what I was anticipating. And when he slowed everything down after the end of, near the end of the first round, I was like, okay, now I'm in a groove where I know I'm faster, my feet are faster, my strikes are faster, and again, I love fighting guys that are smaller than me. So. But I'm longer than, so I can definitely move and play kind of my game. And I got to literally put everything kind of on display. Not everything, but I put on a pretty good display.
Put on a pretty good show. I mean, you gave the viewing audience a nice piece of entertainment and action. You showed us a really good fight, and you gave us something to look forward to for the next one. And that's, you don't want to give it all away right away, tease a little, but
because I mean, because my coach, well, I would say like he's my best friend, but he's also my coach and my pad holder and just the guy that I've been working with for a few years now, Matthew Polino. He said it. He's like, because we're talking numbers and stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm guaranteed this, and then he's like, nah, but you're gonna be making that, and I'm like, and that's including a bonus and the win, and in my mind, I'm like, the only thing that's important to me is winning this fight. But the way it was funny because the way things were going in round one, and then when I kind of finished the round and sat down, I was like, yeah, now I can open up. I was like, now I can kind of just I feel good. Like, let me just kind of put it out there. And, I never was going in there like, yeah, I have to put fight of the night. Like, that's my goal. Like, I was just like, I'm going to go out there and fight. And, and I truly believe I'm going to finish this guy. So if that's not good enough to get me a performance bonus, then that's fine. But I'm here. I'm winning. That's all that matters. So
that's all that matters. I mean, and that's what you got to go into, man. If you go in there and try to put your pressure on yourself to score a highlight reel knockout and try to fight for 50K, you're going to miss something that's basic along the way, and that's going to cost you something, And so the mindset that you just told me about, that's the right way to do it, man. Listen, for somebody that's so young in their career, I mean, like I said, you're 6-2. And your first fight in the UFC, I know you're a 31-year-old man, So that's part of it. But even still, dude, you come across like such a polished veteran, like, you've been in the octagon, for a while. So I think that bodes well for you as you make this journey now into it, because, the hard part was getting there. The harder part is staying there. I don't foresee a problem for you right now staying there. The welterweight division is stacked, so it's going to take you a few fights to really, make some noise, and that's okay. Get those fights in. The other thing I want to say about this too is, I totally just remembered that your debut was on a pay-per-view, dude. You opened up the fucking guy. You're the curtain jerker. That's pretty dope, man. Yeah, you're the first fight of the night. If there was live attendance for that one, the whole crowd wouldn't have been there yet, but there still would have been people, But the fact that, the UFC, these guys are cool enough. We want to put this fight on the opening of a pay-per-view. That says something. And I know you took the fight 17 days later, but they could have moved that fight, if, and put it somewhere else. They didn't have to put it on that pay-per-view card. I know you weren't on the main card, but again, I think that's a cool thing, that you guys debuted. It was on a pay-per-view opening card. That's a check. Now that's what you got to do. Work your way up the pay-per-view cards. So now,
absolutely. I hope, even if, my next fight is on maybe like a fight night or something of a smaller card, but
will be.
Yeah, I hope to be on, higher up, something maybe, the big end of the prelim or beginning of the main event, main event. I would be happy to fill in that slot. To be honest with you, I did really enjoy opening though. Going in there, taking care of stuff as early as possible in the day.
Set the tone.
Yeah, and I don't know. I bet you lots of other fighters have told you this, but I fought main event and co-main events in pretty big cards, and it's worse than just moping around for 5-6 hours waiting to go out and fight, and the UFC does it obviously a little bit different, but a lot of other events have you there and you're in the arena and you're just doing nothing, and it's a sucky time, at least in my opinion. I've been lucky. I've had some good opportunities when I fought in Hong Kong. I could just go home and show up, an hour before my fight. But I fought, all over the place, and at UAE Warriors, same thing. I fought an event there, and just, you're just hanging out and just waiting for fights to finish. And going into the UFC one, they're just like, all right, you're here at this time. This is when you're going out, and I'm like, all right. We're in there. We're ready. Let's go. And then boom, next thing you know, it's like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I finished the fight. I'm like already done media, and I'm sitting in the limo going back to my hotel, and I'm like, it's 4:00 right now, and I'm like, all right, like, let's go on with our day.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, let's go grab a bite, maybe play a video game or something. Fuck it. Yeah, but that's the cool thing. You're in Vegas, so and like you said, you're always training. You're working at the gym. You're coaching classes, out there at Syndicate with John Wood. My boy Sherrod's out there. I love my boy Sherrod. That's my dude. He's fought with us down here in Florida. Good people, man. But so you're always in fight shape pretty much. I mean, so, and 170 is optimal for you, but 185, can you do where do you walk at?
I mean, so before I got to the UFC, I was walking around at like 185, 190, but and then they were like, we did like all the diagnostics, and they did some scans, and they checked my weight, all that kind of stuff, and they think the average for my weight class is a higher weight, so they were like, oh, we think you could be at least like 195, 200. So I've kind of put on a little bit more weight. Now I'm probably around, I haven't checked myself today, but I'm probably between 195 and 200. I put a little bit heavier. And I've been working on a lot of just getting stronger, getting faster, more powerful. But I fought at 185 a couple times, but they were just opportunities to fight, and I was always down to take them. But if an opportunity comes to fight at 185, I'm always open to it. But 170 is like, when I was how old was I when I made my amateur debut? 19. It was the first time I fought MMA, and I remember when I first time made 170, and it was such a process because I'd never done it before. But I remember saying to myself, like, I want to be the king of 170, because I was like, I made this. Like, I'm going to make it every time. Like, I've never had any issue making 170. It's a cakewalk. I've walked as heavy as 205, 210. So I'm usually in fight shape, but I'm really good with my body. Like I usually keep my body on point with how I eat. I can fast. Like I just mix it up. And when fights come closer, I have no problem, no issue with my discipline when it comes to stopping eating and just fasting. And it's just something that I've been doing my whole life. So it's just something that comes natural, and I never have any issue with food. And I can eat anything and everything at the same time, but also I can just mentally just stop. So it's a good thing. So like I
That's
said,
discipline that a lot of guys are probably jealous of.
I mean, dude, no one should be jealous. It just takes, you just got to program your mind. It's all it is. It's just like
Some people, there's some guys that can't get to that spot because if they could, everybody would do it and we would never hear of fighters missing weight.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, I find it laughable when I hear. I mean, I've not only seen, but I've heard some of the most ludicrous things ever. But and like it all just comes down to discipline. Like if you're not able to make your weight, there's something along the road you're doing wrong, and you know it. Like while you're going through that process, you're saying in your mind, "Fuck, I shouldn't have done that." And
tiramisu, shit like that.
Exactly. Mike Perry, sending food to who was it? The Dirty Bird, Tim Means. So like he didn't come in. You know what I mean? So it's like you're doing it to yourself. And I've always thought
that's the first time Mike ever missed weight. I've known Mike a long time. He's from down here. I've announced some fights. It's the first time he ever missed weight, and I was actually shocked. But he's been having a rough up and down, with some stuff. So I don't excuse it, but I was shocked. Since you brought his name up, I just like, guys, because he's never missed weight. That was the first time amateur pro ever, and I was like, this motherfucker missed weight. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Because I love Mike, so I defend him. So when he does something like that, I got to take shit from people. I'm like, damn it,
you're a Mike Perry guy. I mean, he made me wait he made us all wait at the weigh-ins. That's the only dig I got on him. Otherwise, I held the door for him and his girl, and he was actually pretty cordial. So otherwise, I got no beef with him. But
I know he gets a bad rap, and he's done some stupid stuff, no doubt about it. But like you said, he's cordial. He's really a cool dude, man. And he's nice. He's a fucking fun dude. But he's also Mike. There's really two things going on there. I know both of them. And I would let Mike babysit Mike before he had a baby. I would still let Mike babysit my grandson because he's that. When it comes down to it, he's a good dude. Sorry about the Mike Perry moment, guys, but he brought him up.
All good.
So 185, 170.
Yeah, so I was thinking,
could you go down even to 155?
That I mean, I've floated the idea, but everybody else says no. So I don't think it's worth doing it. But like I said, if I can establish myself at 170 the way that I expect to, then we can make that question. All right, maybe go to 185, and if that's necessary. I know Kamzat's already kind of being that guy, and I only expect to eventually probably cross paths. So I don't care where we have to fight, honestly. But I have, like I said, I feel my best at 170. 185, like I said, I don't cut weight. Like I just I'm walking around. Like when I'm optimal training weight, when I'm feeling my best, I'm usually 185, 184 on the dot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so usually I'm able to make the 170 mark and get back to 182, 184, and I feel really good in there, and I move good. And at 185, the guys are a lot bigger. I mean, I've made the mistake in my pro debut. I fought a guy that came in 27 pounds overweight to the 185 fight. This was in Florida, actually, and they asked me to gain weight, make it so the commission wouldn't cancel the fight. So I just took it as a sign of weakness, but then I realized after the second round when we got into grappling exchange, I was like, God damn, that weight.
That was fight time?
Yes.
Yeah. Howard Davis' show.
Yes. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Like I got called like the night before the weigh-in. They're like, oh, he's in the hospital on an IV. He can't cut any more weight. And I was like, well, what does he weigh? And they're like 207. And I was like, what? I'm like, we're fighting at 185. I'm like, he cut down and he's only 22 pounds off, and then he ended up coming in 27 pounds over, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. So
What did you learn from that experience?
Fight at my weight class. So whenever
That's the right answer.
there you go. So whenever I could get a fight at 170, I mean, man, I never had any management until the end of this year. So I was just taking fights wherever I could get a fight. I fought my second pro fight. I fought. He was the World Combat Sambo world champion. He went to Russia and demolished everyone at 82 kilos from South Korea. So usually Koreans and Japanese, they'll send their up and coming fighters to Hong Kong to get like easy fights to like build them. And I'd come back to Hong Kong. I was living in Florida at the time. I was living and training at the Black Zillions. And I went back just to renew my ID card, and I ran into someone. He said, "Hey, I can get you a fight." And I went 16 months, dude, without making my pro debut. I had like 8 fights fall out. I had guys not show up. I had guys pull out of fights like 3 weeks, 4 weeks out, and it was no specific reason why. But I mean, deep down, I truly believe they thought, "Oh, he trains at Black Zillions. Oh, he has a Russian name. Oh, it's a tough fight, so let's not do that." That's literally what I went through. I literally thought maybe I was not supposed to fight, and then that's why I moved to the States, was like, I want to be fighting, and I couldn't get started. And then I moved back to Hong Kong, and I get matched up with this dude, and I was just like thankful that I got the opportunity just to compete. And then like I kind of heard about him, what he'd accomplished, and was like, okay, but just didn't put any like mind to it. And then after I went out there and won my fight against him and saw what he did, I was like, God damn, that dude's a monster. Like, I'm glad I didn't see that film going into the fight. But yeah, the kid, like, he's like supposed to be like Korea's next big thing. But at the time, he was 1-0 and I was 0-1.
Yep.
So I KO'd him in the second round, and then from there, that's what opened up my door to Korea. That's when they brought me out to Korea, and I started competing in Korea. And then from there, I got kind of the opportunity to fight in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And yeah, it was just, the beautiful thing is I fought 7 times, and I fought in 6 different cities around the world those 7 times. So even if my career had ended at that point in my life, I could have had, that gave me the opportunity to travel, to meet new people, to see new things. And that's kind of one of the really cool things about fighting. Now it might be a little different, because I've been to Abu Dhabi and Dubai so many damn times, and with what's going on with COVID, it might not be international for a minute. But you know, I just appreciate those kinds of things that martial arts and MMA has given me, just the ability to see the world.
And you'll be able to go to Abu Dhabi again, because I mean, there's people leaving from the States for every Fight Island card. I mean, so so you'll probably get over there before the year's over. Maybe at Fight Island 4 or Fight Island 5. I'm guessing they're going to do 3 to 4 runs. 4 runs, I think, this year over there. So that'll encompass about 12 events. And that'll be awesome. I mean, but again, you're in Vegas. You live probably right around the corner from the Apex. I mean, hey, listen, Sasha, it's Dana, man. This dude dropped out, man. You want to come over and fight tomorrow? Sure, boss. Cool. I mean, because that's how easily it could be for you. So your location, your proximity to the home office, it's brilliant. I mean, it just makes total sense. And you have a good place to train out there at Syndicate. You got good guys out there to train with. I love John and what he's got going on out there. And, everybody I've ever spoken to that trains there, that, comes out of that school and that academy, good fighters, good high fight IQs, and they go out there and get shit done. I mean, they don't win every fight, but no gym has a, perfect record. So, but you guys go out there and fight hard. They have got a really good thing going out there. And I only see it exploding. I see some gold coming that way in that camp, from the UFC, and, next year or two. I mean, I really believe that somebody from your school is going to the belt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think the record was pretty impressive from the team last year in 2020 in terms of, wins and losses. I couldn't tell you the exact number, but it was pretty high in wins and not too high in losses. And we've already had 1 fighter fight this year. Oh no, we've had 2 now, 2 winners. So it's starting off the year bright already. And yeah, and we got a couple guys that we're gonna. I'm sure fans as well are excited to see in the octagon with Natan and Jordan again, and myself included. And I expect Sherrod will be in the UFC probably by this year at some point.
I think so too. I think he's can't miss to get there. His last Contender Series fight didn't go his way. But they liked him enough to give him a second shot, so they do see something in him. And it's just like I know you from what we've talked about. I shouldn't say I know you like that, but from what we've discussed and everything, when there's a hole in your game, you got to fix it. And you just go out there and you work hard and you fix it. You don't stop working on everything else. You just continue to work on this. Maybe give this a little extra time and bring it all together. It's well-rounded, and that's what you actually have done. You've really put together a well-rounded fight style that is honestly going to be a handful for a lot of guys. And that's what you need it to be. So even though your fight record is 6-2, you don't have 25 fights going. You have a style of a guy, and you have the maturity and the level to handle where you're at right now. So and that gives you a big advantage against some of these guys that you're going to fight, even that have been established already. Oh, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you. Hold on. His screen disappeared. I wonder if his battery died or his Bluetooth headphones died.
Hello?
Oh, there he is.
Is it working?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, no, I had somebody tried to call me and it just.
I figured it was either that or your Bluetooth died or your phone died.
No.
I've had it all happen, so it's all
sure.
good.
So please repeat that one more time. Just the short version. Just refresh. I was about to say it and then it got.
I don't remember the fuck I asked you.
Oh no, it was about being well-rounded, working in.
Oh yeah, so you've really set yourself up well-rounded. Like I said, you're 8 fights into your pro career, but you carry yourself and you show a style of somebody that's been doing it a lot longer. There's a maturity you have, and I think it's going to serve you well, even against guys that are going to have more octagon experience than you. I still think for a guy like yourself, and this isn't kissing your ass because you're on my show, because I don't have to do that. This is just me making an honest evaluation. I think you're going to be a lot of trouble for a lot of guys, even established guys, because your degree of how well-rounded you've made your game, and so I'm excited to see where you go in that division, man. And because other than lightweight, I think welterweight is the next showcase division, in my opinion. Lightweight is it right now. It's the shit. It's the cat's pajamas, whatever you want to say. Yeah, that's a stupid old saying. I pop that out once in a while.
I haven't heard that one ever, honestly.
I hear it on TV, like in some old shows I watch. I'm 52, man. I know different things than you,
bro. No, I'm just playing.
But you're gonna be trouble, man. And like I said, I'm really excited to see what you bring, because the lightweight division #1 right now, but welterweight to me is right behind that. There's a lot of stars there. Somebody said to me, well, is he at middleweight? Well, he's moving up to light heavyweight because he don't want to defend anymore. So, and other than that, Robert Whittaker and 1 or 2 other guys, that division isn't stacked. Welterweight is stacked deep. Even like a guy like, you brought Mike Perry on. Mike Perry is a welterweight. Now, Mike Perry is not in the top 10, not in the top 15 right now, but he's still a dangerous fighter. So, even guys that aren't ranked are dangerous. And there's guys that aren't ranked that are, stars, that are recognizable people. So that's how you look at the depth. I can look at the top 20 and know every one of those motherfuckers, and look at the next 10 down and go, I know those guys too. That shows you the depth of a division. And that's what that welterweight division has, is depth. So they just added to it. And, now you got to cut your teeth, make your bones, take a few fuckers out,
Yeah, no,
business.
for sure.
Business.
You look at the division now, the top of the welterweight division, you see what's there, and we got wrestlers at the top, and I wouldn't say we have a lot of dynamic striking except for Wonderboy, who I'm a huge fan of. I love his style, what he brings to the cage. But otherwise, from that, I feel there's a big hole in the striking, at least in the exciting part of the welterweight division. You know, you're going to get tons of guys maybe on the backside of the top 15 and the guys that are unranked that are going to put pretty solid striking performances together. But, you know, it seems like that style of who can overwhelm someone with grappling and wrestling has kind of dominated the welterweight division. So that's something that I've definitely looked at and tracked for a very long time. And, you know, as DC said, he liked my sprawl defense and something that I put a lot of emphasis in my training. And I've worked with very high level wrestlers, Olympic level champs, you know, all over. So wrestling is something that I've, you know, fallen in love with later on in life. And, you know, if someone takes me down, it's something I don't like at all. So it's something that I try to prevent as much as possible. And I want to keep doing what I love to do, which is strike. So both work hand in hand. And people want to see me strike, and people don't want to see me lying on top of a dude and just holding him there. So if I'm able to do what I enjoy doing while making other people happy, that's what I'm going to do. So
I love it, dude.
I think once I get my opportunity, I believe because I have a foreign name, I'll probably fight a lot of American fighters just because I'm based here. That's what my thinking is. And I feel like I'm going to expose a lot of those guys, whoever they may be. And then I'll start to knock on that door and start to get some of the guys that I think are truly at the higher level. And that's what I've always been striving for my whole career, is just to fight the best and who are the best at what they do. So I used to be a training partner of Kamaru back when he first debuted in the UFC. So yeah. I have a very good idea of what to expect.
I know you know what he brings. I remember when he was cutting his teeth too. You know, I'm pretty decent friend with Anthony Johnson. I've known him a long time. You know, we've hung out together and done some cool stuff. Always been a fan, you know, and but man, that academy at one point, Black Zillions, man, that was the place to fucking be, you know, and you know, it sucks that it went the way it did and, you know, everything. And then, you know, homeboy passed away and, you know, he put his life into that thing, you know,
for sure.
Some people didn't like him. You know, I have mixed feelings about him. He was cool, but then sometimes, you know, like there was a couple of times, you know, he's like, oh, you can't come in right now to, you know, talk. Man, you know, so that's just my own, because I wanted to get interviewed from people. And he wouldn't let me one day, you know, no big deal though. But what he did for fighters, you know, it doesn't matter what other people outside the gym think. It only matters what the people inside the gym think. And I don't know one person from that gym that I can recall that really had anything bad to say about him, except the fact that, you know, there wasn't enough of them, you know, and there wasn't enough time, you know. Yeah. So, but yeah, so you were part of something really special down there. So that's cool. And so you know all those guys, you know, dude. God damn.
I was there. I was on the Florida scene. I was just an amateur at the time, but I was training with them day in and day out. And that's another thing, like what you were mentioning before with my experience. I've shared the mat with some of the best fighters on the planet. Yeah. I've not only shared the mat, I've sparred with them, I've trained, I've learned from them. So, and that was one thing that I always said. I said to myself, I was a fan of the Black Zillions, a big fan of Overeem as a kid. And when that gym formed, I thought to myself, that's like the Mecca, you know, that's where all the best, baddest fighters are. And in my mind, I said, if I wanted to do this, I have to go to where the best people are and not only hang, but do well in order to pursue this seriously. That's what I thought to myself. Because I've been the big fish in the small pond and just whooped on everybody and was like, oh, I'm good, but am I really good? And when I went out to the Black Zillions, I just showed up there. I wasn't invited. I had no special treatment. I just packed my bags and said, look, this is, if I'm going to do this, I need to know. And, you know, I moved into an apartment with zero furniture. I was sleeping on a mattress and was just there getting my camp ready to try to make my pro debut. And, you know, and it was a roller coaster ride. I went through some crazy shit in that period, but, you know, South Florida, I was training with some of the baddest people that you wouldn't even necessarily maybe know. I was training with some just absolute monster kids that just were just tough. And, you know, I saw all of, you know, Rumble's camps when I was there. I saw some of the biggest names in the game fighting and getting ready for fights. So I was in the right atmosphere, the right aura of what to expect out of the top you know, and even getting good rounds in with some of the best and learning from some of the best. Tyrone Spong is someone that I also watching, and, you know, was trying to train at some. Boxing was something that I was putting a lot of emphasis in. So I was training with some Cuban boxing coaches. I was putting in a lot of boxing sparring. It was something that I never really had access in my whole life to. So the fact that I had that in Miami, and I fell in love with boxing, and you know, I would go to like the Saturday recs where they would just have open gym to like any boxer. So you could just show up, you put your weight on a board, and then they just match you up with a random dude and you just box. Like, it was awesome. Like, I never experienced that my whole life. So, you know, these were all things that helped me kind of, you know, combine who I am as the fighter I am today. And I had a certain kind of vision to get a certain way, and I'm still not even close to what I'm envisioning, but I'm still working towards it. And Florida was such a big part, just because I was with such high level athletes, coaches, trainers, and that's where I was like, you know, I sat there by myself and said, I think I'm good enough. And I could keep coming back, and I could, you know, some guys would show up looking incredible with all this fancy gear, sponsors, looking and they come out and they get sparred. They come in and get sparring at Black Zillions and get murdered and never come back again. And like, I remember the first day I ever went on there, I didn't know what to expect, but Henry Hoof just gave me killer's row at my weight class. I fought everyone. Like, I fought Gilbert, I fought Kamaru, I fought the Villafor brothers. I was fighting everyone that was at the top of their game. And I was just like, in my mind, I was like, okay, I just got to hang and just not show any weakness, and hopefully they're cool with me. And through time of just constantly going and getting better, and eventually showing what I had and improving, and people were just like cool with me. And I just kept training and training, was just hoping one day that I would be able to make my pro debut. And it just never seemed to happen until that opportunity came to fight, you know, at fight time. And then I fought the guy who came in super heavy. But again, it was a learning experience, and I think it was a good one to start my career off with a loss, because I was like, you know, 6-0 as an amateur, and, you know, I was feeling, you know, on top of the world. But it was like, I'm not ready. I wasn't as ready as I thought I was going into that fight. So that was a wake-up call. And then I went on, I think, a 4-fight. I think I won 4 in a row. And then I fought. So this story, we were in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong had political unrest, so they canceled an event. I'd had people flying in for this. I'd sold like 60 tickets. Like, this was going to be a big event for me. But because of the political unrest, they canceled it. So I was like, fuck. And I'd torn my meniscus, and I had a fucked up groin, and I was bummed out that I wasn't fighting, and I wasn't going to, you know, get to show out in front of my people and stuff. And then I'm sitting in a cafe in Ukraine, because I was doing a boxing camp in Ukraine.
Right.
I'm sitting out there, and I'm like bummed out. I'm eating a pizza because I thought I wasn't fighting or anything. And they're like, this dude that I barely know, he like added me on Facebook. And like a few weeks or months later, he like was like, hey, I have a fight for you in Abu Dhabi. Do you want it? On like 5 days notice? And I'm like, sure. Like, who's the guy? So it was Munir Lazez. And, you know, and I'd watched this guy fight before. And because someone had told me that he's a potential matchup down the road that I could fight. And so I was like, he's all right. You know, he's a striker. He doesn't do much. So I've been striking that whole time in Ukraine. So I was like, if we just strike, I was like, I can get the better of him for sure. I was like, but if we grapple, we're in trouble, because like my groin and my knee were just not functioning how I needed them to function grappling wise. Let's just put it that way. So literally I take the fight, 5 days notice. Next day I pack my bags. I'm on a plane from Lvov to Kiev to Dubai overnight, and then on a car from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. You know, I'm there, and then they're like, all right, so in 3 days, you know, you got to make weight. So my weight was okay. I made weight, no problem, but I was not in shape, you know. And I went into that fight, and like, you know, I do my normal thing with my footwork, and I could see like how worried he was. Like, he just didn't want to engage. So I was like, this is weird. So I just kept kind of moving on him. and he shot on me first, and he's fought 9 times previous to us fighting, and he's never ever shot for a takedown his whole career. I didn't anticipate that at all, and he took me down. But, you know, I hit him a couple times and got back to my feet. But I was like, okay, like, this guy doesn't really want to strike with me. He wants to take me down. So we, like, traded a little bit, and I hit him good. He hit me one time good. And then I got hit by one shot, and I, like, backed up, and he thought I was hurt. And he came in, like, super hard to, like, throw a knee and missed and, like, kind of ended up in a scramble, and I took his back. And I legit remember, like, getting my hooks in and being like, fuck, why are we here? Like, I literally, fuck. Like, because I had no control with my left leg. So he literally sat, like, I had hooks in for maybe, like, 10 seconds, and he just spun and was on top. And I just remember being like, all right, well, I'll just defend, play half guard, just defend, block, block, block. He landed, like, maybe, like, 2 or 3 good shots in a row. Again, I was not hurt. And there was, I believe, 12 seconds left, or I remember them saying 20 seconds left. And I just remember thinking, okay, I got 20 seconds. I'll lose the round on the bottom, and then we'll come out second round. I'm fine. And then they stopped it with 12 seconds to go. Yeah. You know, the ref stopped it. And that night, I mean, I'm not giving the ref any credit. He maybe thought I was hurt, whatever. But there was a couple instances that night where he made some very weird decisions. Like, someone got kicked in the groin, and then it was just weird. Like, he stopped the fight from the groin kick, but then, like, said that it wasn't because of the groin. It was just weird. It was a weird night. There was some drama. So when that happened, like, obviously at that moment, I was like I was fine. But my corner was like, dude, like, you were not out. Why did they stop the fight? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Was I knocked out? Like, I didn't know. Sometimes you just don't know. And then when I watched the film back, that's when I was like, what the fuck? You know, and I was like, that's weird, man. Like, put me to sleep, you know, and then like end the fight. But, like, I literally got hit, like, through my own guard, and a couple shots landed, but not enough to finish the fight. So I was pretty upset, obviously, about that. The pay was good. That's why I honestly took the fight. That was their guy. It was the co-main event. There was like 5 or 6,000 people playing drums. I don't know if you've ever heard that many people play drums before, but it's freaking loud. And I don't know. It was just a different environment. I wasn't switched on. I wasn't, like, fight ready. I was in camp, but I wasn't fight ready. I needed, like, another few more weeks to get there. And I just took it because the pay was good, and the opportunity to go to a new promotion, a good promotion, was, like, something I wanted to do. So I took that loss, but I was like, man, like, I want to run that back. Like, I spoke to the promoters at UA Warriors and was like, look, can we run that back? Like, if there's an opportunity, maybe I get a win, he gets a win, we can meet again. Cause, like, man, like, I know I can beat that guy 9 times out of 10, you know? And they were like, yeah. And then he got signed to UFC. So I was like, all right, well, that's probably going to happen down the road. So, basically,
was he on your list?
He wasn't on my recent list. I want to fight at least 1 or 2 more times, because at least we could be more established in the UFC. No one's gonna know shit about us unless we fight a few more times. So, because at least that story can be part of, like, what you know what I mean? Like, we're cool, we're cordial. I have nothing against him. I just truly believe, like,
I want to win back. That's all. It's not personal. It's business. You beat me. I got to get that shit back.
There you go. I look at it like this. I beat him at his home, and, like, he needs to come to Vegas so I can beat him at my home. You know,
straight up.
It's 2-leg affair.
And then we'll have the 3rd fight in Australia.
There you go. That's fair. Neutral.
There you go. Neutral territory. Oh, no, well, you lived there, so you can't. It'll be neutral territory.
New Zealand. It'll be in New Zealand then.
No, that's kind of That's kind of the same thing, bro. That's just
I never been to New Zealand, so there you go.
Yeah, I know, but you got that Aussie crowd support there. I don't know, dude. I don't know.
We can go Japan.
There you go. There's it. Go to Japan. All right. By the way, guys, you've been watching the Sasha Palatnikov autobiography told live by Sasha himself on Cage with Christopher James. I'm going to tell you, dude, I've done some interviews with people, and I don't ever set a time limit on how it goes. If it goes organic and fun. And I honestly, I could probably sit there and talk to you for hours and hours and hours, dude. You know, and I've gotten used to your welcoming face now. So it's a bit.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, dude.
But no, dude, you are a great person to chat with, dude. And I almost feel bad because I've occupied your time. We've been on the air for just you and me for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I see.
That's crazy. Like, I lose track and I look up and go, oh shit, it's 10 o'clock. God damn.
I mean, I wasn't doing anything So
Well, no, I got a wife out there. She wants to make me dinner, but I always tell her that, you know,
I don't believe that.
what?
That wants to make you dinner? I don't believe that.
Oh, babe, I'll prove it to you.
I'll prove it to you.
Babe, come here. So I was telling my guest Sasha that, you know, we've been on for an hour, and I said, I got a wife out there that wants to make me dinner. He goes, wants to make you dinner? I don't believe that.
Yeah, I want to eat, but I'm not gonna waste my time making it if he's not gonna eat it.
She's not going to waste time making it, but
There you go. So she's making food for herself and then giving you the leftovers. There you go.
no. Listen, explain to him that I get treated like a king in my own home.
He's very spoiled.
Can you hear? I'm spoiled. She
like that.
listen to me. This woman takes such good care of me. She cooks all the food, and I'm on a grain-free diet right now, so she has to make special stuff. Like she has to make bread for me at home with no grains in it. She takes the time. She works a full-time job. She rolls up my joints for me that I get from the dispensary. She does all my laundry.
Oh, wow. Great.
She bought the green screen that's behind me. She takes good care of me. I'm a blessed man, and so when I say she wants to make me dinner, though, she does. She likes to do stuff that makes me happy.
Okay, you like taking care of me too.
And I take care of her too. That is true. That is true.
Work makes the dream work, right?
You're
Team-
actually a lot more thoughtful than I am.
She even said I'm a lot more thoughtful than she is, and she's pretty damn thoughtful. So, all right, I'm done with you. Love you.
I'm done with you.
But that's the life, dude. And you know, having the right people on your team, no matter what you do in life, whether it's fighting or being an announcer and a pod guy, or you're a garbage man, or you know, you work at McDonald's. As long as you have the right people in your corner, it doesn't matter. You know, you have to have the right people around you. You know, that show the love and support you in whatever you do. I'm fortunate that I have that. You know, you said you were taken, so you know you seem to be in a good spot with that. So that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's not ideal what's going on with because of COVID. Unfortunately, she's from France, so we're actually in the process. She's already been accepted, pre-approved of her visa. It's just she's not able to get her visa because of COVID. The embassies have remained closed, so it's been super shitty in that regard. We were apart for 7 months, but I was just over there. It was really good to spend time with her and her family. But I'm just hoping, like, now there's a vaccine, things start to open up a little bit, and hopefully she'll be here. She's already, like, you know, like she lived in Vegas with me for 3 months, and she already considers it home. We have a cat. We have our place. So
oh shit just got real. You got a cat. That's hey, listen, that's more commitment than this ring around my finger, bro.
yeah, dude. I mean, the cat is a lot of work, so you know it's serious if that happens. But yeah, no, she helps me keep. I'm sure just like yourself, she helps you. She helps you keep you on top of things, and she's a really good. She keeps me honest, and she keeps me humble. So that's something that I miss. But you know, now having to do everything on my own, it just makes you just have to work a little harder, but that's fine. It's all part of what I've been doing my whole life, and I'm used to it. So when she does come back, and I'm sure things will just be a little bit easier for me. But you know, otherwise, I just can't wait to have her to see her every day. You know, it's weird to not be able to see her every day. So you know, I have my roommate who fills in for her now, Matt. So it's a big difference. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's just sounded weird, Sasha. This show just went sideways, guys. Oh my god. No, well, listen, brother. Thank you so much for taking the time, man, and having a great conversation with me, man, and just being real. Like I said, everything I said to you tonight that I think about you as far as your fighting is true, as far as your future as an analyst or color commentator on the desk. I think that's 100% going to happen for you, dude. You're so well spoken. You have the knowledge that it takes, and you deliver it in a way that is understandable. Dominic Cruz is one of the smartest motherfuckers I've ever heard on a mic. But once in a while, he talks a little bit above the audience. Like, it's not intentional. He's just that smart, and that's how he speaks. I did an interview with him down here in Jacksonville for like 40 minutes. And, you know, sitting with him and talking with him, doing a face-to-face, I picked up a lot of things from him, and he's incredibly smart. And we had talked about commentary and stuff like that because I think he had just started doing it. And I love listening to talk, but every once in a while he says something, and they like some of my friends, will be watching the fight, and I get it because I've been around this long enough now to figure stuff out. But sometimes, like just my friends are, I guess we'd call the casualist of fans. They need to have it explained almost like a 6-year-old, and sometimes they just go whoosh over their heads, and they're like, "What the fuck does that mean, man?" I'm like, "Oh god damn it! Now I gotta hit pause. I gotta stop and explain it to them and roll." So, so when you get your gig, don't do that.
Well, yeah, you're gonna be my reference, so you're gonna be my go-to. We're gonna have to, speak on my behalf and tell them how welcoming I am. My face.
Oh, I'm gonna tell him, hey man, he's got a face that's welcoming, and he's highly intelligent, and he delivers it on the microphone. That's what you want.
That's a amazing review. My Yelp.
Listen, Yelp review 5 stars.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, I'm going to leave you to be. Like I said, I took way too much of your time today, but I appreciate you sharing it with us. Tell everybody how to follow you on your social media platforms, because I want them to, help blow you up.
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's Sasha Palatnikov MMA. There's not a lot of me, so with that name, so you should be able to find me. Twitter, it's Palatnikov MMA, and same thing on Facebook, Sasha Palatnikov. Yeah. I'm pretty open with my fans, and I like to if people like to reach out and say what's up and ask questions or whatever that may be, feel free. I like to at least be a part of the community because I'm a fan myself. So if that's something that you guys would like to do, then feel free. Don't be shy. And if you guys are tuning in, thank you for tuning in, and just keep an eye on my social media. Hopefully soon we'll get an announcement, and then we'll start getting ready for whoever they put in front of me. But it was a pleasure being on your show. It was awesome. It didn't feel like an interview. We were just kind of shooting the shit, which is always the best. And
that's the way I like it to be, man. I don't ever write down questions ahead of time. I just roll, and whatever comes out of my mouth comes out of my mouth, and whatever comes out of your mouth, I don't censor anything on the show. I do, if a conversation like starts to go too religious or too political, I try to steer it away from that. Not because I'm afraid to talk about it, but the fans come to this kind of a show because they want to get away from that. So I don't want to, bring that up. Once in a while, there's been some important topics that we have talked about on my shows with different fighters, but we try to keep, about fights and fun and good stuff, and that's what we need today. So I try to make sure that that's how we do it. I mean, I don't need to hear about fucking election day and now inauguration day and this motherfucker. And I can't say that, hi to my mom. I have to call her my parent. I mean, it's fucking stupid. So I just rather talk to dudes like you that like to fight and like to, talk about fights, man. And the people that follow my show, and I'm blessed to have the ones that do and support it. That's what they like to see. There is one other thing. I don't know if you heard at the end of the interview I did with Haim. I asked first-time guests on the show to do something makes them a little uncomfortable.
Makes them uncomfortable?
Yeah. I asked them to sing.
Sing?
Yeah. I don't care what you sing. It doesn't have to be a full song. Just give us a little lyrical content. I started doing this, and the first person I did was with Mike Perry. He was in Pittsburgh at a fight, and I was doing my first show on Facebook Live before I started doing it this way, long time ago. And he started spitting fucking gangster rap at the show. And I was like, I'm going to ask everybody to do that. And I've had Michelle Waterson on singing Happy Birthday. I've had Courtney Casey came on and sang the Fresh Prince Bel-Air theme song. It was fucking the dopest of dope. Impa Kasung and I came on and did like some old Louis Armstrong. I will see. Yeah. So I've had the gamut of people. So,
all right,
spit something for us, bro.
Colt 45. So here it goes. Who's it by? Afro Man. This song is Colt 45 by Afro Man.
Okay.
See how much of this I remember. Colt 45 and 2 zigzags. Baby, that's all we need. We go too far out the door. Smoke that tumbleweed. As the marijuana burn, we can take our turns singing them dirty rap songs. Stop and hit the road like Cheech and Chong, straight from here to Hong Kong. So roll your joint, pick out the seeds and stems. Man, I'm high as hell. Blah 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 blah. That's the end of the song for me.
That was dope, bro. You know, hey, you know, I totally forgot. Sherrod comes on the show when he does, and he beatboxes like a motherfucker, dude. Have you ever heard Sherrod beatbox?
I have. Sherrod. I mean, and you should see him dance as well. That boy can move for sure.
Oh, I've seen some of his dance moves, man. But so as far as gyms go, Syndicate right now takes the lead as having the best performers out of their gym on the cage. Sorry, Christopher James. So because you just popped out a rap, I can have you and Sherrod come on together and do a fucking whole concert. I think fucking we might have to set that up one day. He could just beatbox and you could just freestyle.
Yeah, wait, hey, you're my manager now, my entertainment manager. So let's
all right, dude. I'll start booking shit for you, dude. I'll get you gigs at the retirement homes down here in Tampa and on Miami Beach. You know,
they're gonna love me.
But I could probably get you more gigs if you're willing to put out, but you're taken, so I can't even offer that up. I can't put you on the casting couch, which that's.
Oh goodness.
Well, listen, brother. All the blessings in the world to you, man. I'm so happy that you tried all these other sports and you found MMA and that you found jiu-jitsu and then you found MMA and you brought it all together and because you entertain us, and I know for the next who knows 5 to 10 years we're gonna probably see a whole bunch of cool fights from you and I hope you get everything you want out of it, man.
Appreciate that, dude. Thank you for your time and
thank you for yours. And guys, like I said, it's Sasha Palatnikov. That's how you follow him. Simple and easy. On Instagram, Sasha Palatnikov, and then on Twitter, it's Palatnikov MMA.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna let him dip on air. Thanks again for taking time, brother. We appreciate it, man.
Okay, guys. Bye-bye.
Peace. Guys, what a fucking interview, man. That was awesome, man. I dig that guy more now than when I first saw him fight, at UAE. So he's going places, man. Exciting stuff, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. We had a long show, man, but sometimes that's how it happens. So, and I love what he said about the show. He didn't feel like it was an interview. It felt like we were just having a conversation. That's what I like to do, guys. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to tune in and join us tonight, man. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your lives and for you guys being a part of mine today. I can never truly put into words what that means to me. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the fights today. We got fights coming up on Wednesday, fights coming up on Saturday, UFC 257. We've got Magny and Chiesa going in the middle of the week, and then we got 257 on the weekend. It's going to be awesome. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I am Christopher James, and you have been Cage Side. Good night, everybody.
What happens if you lose, Nick?
Who the hell is Aquaman?
I get Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, I get sausage biscuits. Maybe you guys will see a little footage of that later on because we got some good stuff.
Throw up the deuces. There you go, baby.